September 23rd, meeting of the Economic Development Committee. I'll read the opening statement, and then we'll start in on the agenda. Okay, you have it on screen. Thank you, John. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. Members of the public who wish to watch and listen to the meeting may do so in the following manner. WCTV, Channel 9, Comcast, Xfinity, Channel 37, Verizon, Fios, and live stream at WCTV.org. The meeting of the Wilmington Economic Development Committee is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members or the public will be permitted. But every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Members of the public who would like to listen to the meeting while in progress may do so via telephone by dialing 1-646-558-8656 and entering the meeting ID, which is 862-5941-0423. Then press the pound and press pound again at the next voice prompt. Members of the public attending this meeting virtually will be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during that portion of the meeting designated for public comment by following the steps previously noted, and then press *9 on their telephone keypad. This will notify the meeting host that the caller wishes to speak. All callers using this feature will be placed into a queue in the order that they entered the prompt. In the event that, despite our best efforts, we are not able to provide for real-time access, we will post a record of this meeting in the town's website as soon as we are able. Thank you, John. So we'll call, I guess we already called the meeting to order. Lil, you'll make note, please, that not among us this afternoon or this evening are members. Tom Card, I'm trying to think who else is not here, sorry. Pat, we have remote. Lil, Carol, who had indicated she would not be able to join us. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that's it. Otherwise, all are in attendance. And thank you all for being here this evening. I want to express to you that I have a very strong need and or desire and or need to make this as snappy as possible. So we're going to have a hard stop at 7:30. If we end before that, kudos to all of us. So let's dive right in. We have approval of the last minutes from August 18th to discuss. Those minutes were captured by Lil the other day and sent out, or I sent out, but they were hers. And so I did send them all I sent the minutes to all of you. I know that I heard back from Rob with some observations on the minutes that, Rob, I appreciated you going through with a fine-tooth comb. But I'll ask you, Rob, maybe to go through them a little bit, and we can make any edits. I'll ask Lil to capture any edits that are appropriate, and then hopefully we can get through those edits quickly, and any other edits that folks need to make, and hopefully get to a motion to approve. So, Rob, the ball's in your court.
So on page 1, let's see, item 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5th line down. Nothing new on people closes, so that is a good thing. I just didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, it's a statement, I think, from Valerie. Valerie, are you looking at the minutes there? It said, Lil, you wrote, industrial spaces that are working on spaces, but nothing new on smaller retail or commercial spaces. And then I think the sentence that Rob is questioning is nothing new on people closes, so that is a good thing. I'm certain it's just a context kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I just didn't know how to fix it.
Sorry, I didn't do a good job editing that. That should be on nothing new on people closing. Sorry, I should say closing.
Oh, closing on properties, that is?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, and so Lil, you did a great job. I mean, it's easy to look at them and find.
Oh, no, I
did a great job.
No, nothing, it's all good. That's why, it's good to have
Just
many eyes on these things.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
absolutely. Nope, it's nothing personal, trust me.
And then on item 3, it's just an update, Mike or Lil, from the first line. It's a max of 4 people.
Okay, yep.
And I might have said that wrong that night. People at one time, and then it should be 1 being the host of the WCTV.
Yep,
Okay.
got it.
And then, like, just make sure I get all these because
Yeah, I'm sorry, I had it on screen too.
item 3, still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Eighth line down, Lil. That's just a typo, maybe.
Yep, maybe. Got it.
And then further down, Mike has concerns on social media. Let's see. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines down from the maybe.
Got it.
Has concern on social media. Is that what media it will go? Oh, I know, that's fine. I understand that when I read it out loud.
I guess, yeah, which of the social media platforms,
Yeah.
I guess is what's been implied there.
Yep, no, that was fine. And then let's see, 2 lines down from there. At the end of the sentence, it says John was online.
Oh, yeah. And
And then the paragraph at the bottom, starting with Walgreens, just at the end of that first line, lease, I think. Leas. And then right below that, Rite Aid, that's just a transposition.
yeah, I saw
At
that.
that, okay. Yep. Let's see.
ADI,
Yeah.
Freudian slip, well,
Yeah.
Perhaps.
No, these are hard. These are hard to capture everything. And then item 5 on the second page, Lil,
Yep.
second line down, roughly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and maintaining's wrong too.
Oh, there you go, see?
I'm
Oh, good
thinking that I
catch.
thought I ran spell check on this.
Spell
and
check.
really didn't.
Yeah, sometimes that makes an error too, though, right?
Yeah, I think it's,
Yeah.
I don't think I did though.
And then item 6,
Got it.
oh, go ahead, sorry.
So, Will, I would just maybe run that spell check again, because I have a whole bunch of typos that I circled, so I don't know if we.
Yeah, no, I'm correcting all the typos right now. I think I just didn't run it in thinking I did.
Okay.
There's tons in here.
Yeah,
So
it
I
wasn't that
apologize for that. I'm
No.
usually not that sloppy.
I think
Yeah, I'm running that all right now.
so can we presume that with Lil looking at the typos and fixing them, that
Yeah, I'm doing
that
that.
she'll get those corrected? Rob, do you want to focus on the things like the line 4 where you said, second paragraph, line 4, you're asking what it was meant. So
Yep.
maybe we could focus the issue on.
Yeah,
what-
okay, yep, that's fine, that's fine. Because the rest are, I believe, just let me go through our typos, I believe, expiry. Yep, on page 3, top paragraph, 4th sentence down, I think experimental, it says big takeaway, want to see more experiential, is that what that says?
Oh, experiential.
Oh, experiential. Okay, yep, got it. Then the next paragraph down, board. I think that's just board.
Yeah, it's board. I just corrected that
Got
one.
it. Okay, yep. So the rest I think are. She thinks. So that's 1, 2, 3. 5th paragraph, starting with bylaw states. Go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines down to the right, Lil. It's
Yep.
things, so it won't catch that. I don't think it's things, but I think you meant thinks.
Yep.
Oh,
Wilmington, okay. And then if there are any, I think that's it. That's all I have.
Okay. Yeah, I'm correcting all. I apologize. I clearly
No.
didn't do this, and
Nope, no need to follow.
well, I
Work together on that. It's not easy to
don't want
catch.
to be careless, but I get them all right now, so we're good. Thank you.
Okay,
any other substantive edits other than typos that were just indicated that anyone would like to see? Or I would, if not, I'd accept a motion to approve the revised minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the revised minutes.
Second.
Made and accepted by Rob made it, Paul accepted, seconded it. Any discussion on that?
I will abstain since I was not at the meeting.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. That being said, Lil, you can, I think Tom just joined us. Yes, he did. Hi,
You
Tom.
did, yep.
So all in favor of the accepting the revised minutes? I'm going to go across my screen here. Greg?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Will?
Yes.
Tom? I'm sorry, Paul?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yes.
Nancy is abstain. Valerie?
Yes.
Tom?
I don't think we have audio from Tom yet.
Oh, okay. Sufficient. We'll just have him abstain, I guess, or no vote. And Patrick, are you comfortable approving based on what you've listened to?
Yes, sir. I'm comfortable. Thank you.
Okay, very well. So we will accept those as amended. And Lil, you'll go through the machinations of getting them sent off tomorrow or whenever over the next few days.
Yeah, no, I'll do it tomorrow so I don't
Thank you
forget.
very much. Okay, bear with me. Do I see Mr. Robertson, Representative Robertson with us? I thought perhaps he had chimed in.
Mr. Chair, I do not see him on yet.
Very well, okay. If he joins us at some point through the meeting, he didn't indicate whether he would or would not earlier with me in the week. Sometimes he will, but I know he has multiple meetings. So if he does join in, we'll sort of break into the meeting wherever we are, and we'll certainly ask him for his report or any information that he has to share. Which brings us to agenda item number 3, which is report from the planning office. And Valerie, if you have anything meaningful that we, from an economic development standpoint perspective, would be interested to hear.
So we haven't heard about any businesses closing. I checked in with Shelley Newhouse. She hadn't heard anything either. She did tell me that bars are going to be serving again as of Monday with social distancing. And she said that Habit Burger is getting their things in order to open soon. So that's a new establishment coming in.
Valerie, is that a sit-down type of place, or is it quick service and like take and run? Or I'm not familiar with the enterprise.
I don't know exactly how they work, but I know there's a drive-through.
Okay.
So I think you can sit down inside. They are planning to do some outdoor seating, at least temporary, if not, beyond that. So you can sit down, you can drive through. Other than that, I'm not sure.
Okay, that's fair. Thank you.
And I think that's all I have. But if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to give any updates on general development in town.
Val, do you have Salem 5 going in on Main Street?
I heard that, but I haven't seen anything yet.
Oh.
I'm fairly certain it is. I was in communication this morning early with one of the gentlemen who works at the Salem 5 in Tewksbury, and he indicated it was really it was something they were committed to having completed by the end of this year. So I don't know what the steps are that they're in the process of taking, but I think they're fairly certain they're going to be doing it.
They're fairly certain that they're going in, and they actually already joined as a chamber member in golfing on Monday.
So I think we can count them.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. So that's going to be directly across the street from where the Santander Bank is.
Yeah.
Sort of between between
Right next to the Walgreens?
Yeah, I believe it's where
Smarts.
the Neil place
Yeah,
is.
smart, right.
Yeah, in that building, one of the small office suites. So that's good news. Anybody else hearing things? Oh, the Halloween place is opening up, or if maybe they're already open, next door to Market Basket.
They're already open, and my nephew's
They're open.
the manager.
Oh, good.
That's cool.
And they've been open for about a month now.
Oh my God, tells you how often I get out.
November 15th, they're open till. And then I have John Foley, who is leasing over office and industrial building, 760 Main Street. This was actually in the paper, and I've talked to John. So we're going to add this in, John, to our list of folks looking.
Cool.
Mark, is there any word on what's going on with the property that used to be Walpole Fence? It looked like over a year ago there was some development going on there, but it doesn't seem like anything's happened in quite a while. I was just wondering if we knew what was going on with that.
Yeah, so it's 168 Lowell Street. They
Yeah.
got permits. They finished their permitting earlier this year to do townhouses on that site. I can't remember the exact number of townhouses, but I believe it's in the high 20s, if I remember right. And they're gonna do sort of a driveway in, a loop around, and kind of put the townhouses around that loop.
Okay.
With some of them facing Lowell Street.
Okay. Oh, that's good to know. It seemed, I go by there all the time. I live down that way, and it doesn't seem like anything's gone on there for a while. So good to know. Thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else? Anybody hearing rumors?
So I will say from the chamber's perspective, it looks like at this point, we will not be renewing our lease over at the Lucci building for financial reasons. And our lease expires October 31st. So we're looking for space, donated space, or we'll be working remotely until we figure something out.
People can continue, those that are interested in communicating with the Chamber of Commerce, Wilmington Tewksbury Chamber of Commerce, can still use all the traditional means, the phone numbers and websites and everything else, correct?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Awesome. Yes, Mr. Bendel.
Mike, I just wanted to, maybe this is the right time to chime in with this, but, and Valerie can correct me if I'm wrong, but the selectmen were briefed shortly after our last Economic Development Committee meeting about the Textron property, which I thought would be beneficial to share with the group, if that's okay with you.
Certainly. I was aware that there had been something shared, but I wasn't sure if it was public information. So I leave it in your hands.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's positive news. And so please, Valerie, if I missed something, let me know. But there was a meeting with representatives from the town and the folks at Textron to let the town know that they have landed a number of big jobs, so much so that they're feeling that they're going to be there for quite a while, and that they're going to be expanding their work employees. Right now, they're hovering around 50 to 60 employees. They're going to increase that number to around 300 employees at Textron. They're also within the next 5 years, is what they indicated. And they're also going to be renovating some of their buildings to bring them up to date for their workforce. And also, they'll be doing this in phases. So some of the work will be slated for 2022. And also in 2022, they'll be making some adjustments to the entrance on Lowell Street. So there'll be, I think they'll be redesigning the entrance to make it a little more conducive for their business there. So I think that it's really positive that business is going to be there for a while, and that they're hiring a couple hundred new employees, and looks like they're going to make some improvement on the Lowell Street stretch. So I think residents will be pleased to hear that. But Valerie, if I missed anything, feel free to add to that.
No, I think that's it. They talked about consolidating their operations a bit, and then freeing up some of the space. I'm actually taking down some of the older buildings and freeing up some space for other development.
And one last thing was that I know the town inquired about the field space, and they have no plans to sell the field space to the town at this time. So
As long as they take care of it, in my view, you know?
Yeah. Do they plan on mowing it? That's the question.
It looks good now.
Yeah.
well, kudos to the company that's worked to deal with them. And I believe it's forgive me, the name is escaping me, but they're maintaining the fields, and they've got a nice little baseball operation going on over there. If you've driven by recently, they've kind of cleaned it up, and it's been very active, and they've maintained it quite nice over the summer. So kudos to that group.
Yeah,
it happened.
I was glad to see that happen. That had become something of an eyesore as you drive through, and it was unfortunate that it was allowed to degrade to that level. But I agree, it looks great now. I personally speaking, and I don't want to belabor the point, but I view this Textron coming back with employees as a tremendously good thing. A respected company, obviously, but the head count I think is good. Hopefully, some of those heads will be Wilmington residents, but certainly it provides a number of new customers for the surrounding support businesses. You know, the dry cleaners and the restaurants and all the other folks in that area that had probably done well when Textron was thriving years ago. Between Textron and Analog around the corner, there's an opportunity there for businesses to support those clientele. So I'm glad that they're coming. I think it's good news.
And Mike, if 3-Step was the name of the company that's maintaining the fields now. They're doing a nice job. So 3-Step.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Did they indicate once they consolidate what type of development that they would be looking at? No.
No. They I actually asked them that, and they didn't. They weren't thinking that far ahead, or at least weren't willing to share their thoughts that far ahead.
And Valerie, I think they indicated they have no plans to sell off any of the property in the near future. Is that correct?
I don't even remember exactly what they said about that. I know they said that they were looking to potentially have other development on the site, whether that, I don't know if that means sell or keep, but they were looking for adding to the site in a positive way.
It couldn't be residential, right? I mean, it's not zoned for that, or is that the concern?
It couldn't be currently, no. And so I did ask them, you know, considering the type of business they are, where they manufacture things and create things, what types of uses they envision for those where they take down the buildings and envision something new, you know, what types of uses they would see. But again, I don't think they were to that point yet. And I encourage them to reach out early and often to talk to us about it. And so I think they're not quite ready to commit to anything there.
Interesting. Yeah.
Suzanne, you say that with a note of suspicion.
Well, I mean, I of course I always envision, you know, some type of nice commercial, you know, development. Office space right now is like dead, right? I mean, and when that's going to come back, I don't know. But right now it's deader than dead, pretty much. So I can't imagine that would be on the horizon. But I mean, it's probably years down the road. Who knows what's going to happen years down the road? But I mean, it's something the town may want to think about making overtures to, you know, what the town might want to see there.
I hope that we can stay closely connected to them as they get more active. I know, Valerie, from your office, you certainly will, but perhaps from an economic development standpoint, when there's momentum beginning, it might be worthwhile to have a dialogue with them and get a sense of where their head is at and how we, A, maybe could support their efforts, or B, benefit from them. So let's keep those lines of communication open. That's my viewpoint anyway. Anybody else? Great. Thank you very much, Valerie, for your report. Bullet number 4 on the agenda is the WCTV public service announcement creation and what the status of that is. And I will tell you right out of the gate that I take full responsibility for this not having gained the momentum that it deserves. And I give full credit to Rob for spearheading and getting us information. He got himself trained over at WCTV and the camera. And Rob and Greg and I met several weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, and talked about a script and talked about the process and gathering some content, some video content. We could overdub with some audio content, and you know, all the best of intentions, and just time slips away and life kind of got in the way. So we haven't gotten to that phase. We've been talking a lot about it, but we haven't gotten into the execution phase because some of it sits on my shoulders and I just need to carve out the time to do it. So what I will ask is Rob and or Greg, because you were part of that meeting that we had to talk about the PSA, to offer any input to the rest of the team, or correct me if I'm misstating it.
Mike, I would just add that, yeah, absolute kudos to Rob. He took the time to go over to WCTV and get trained. And I thought we had a really productive meeting. So don't slight yourself, Mike. You had some really good ideas. And I think now that Rob is trained and when we get another chance to sit down, we'll be so much closer to getting an actual PSA out. So thanks.
Yeah.
To
And Mike,
Rob.
I agree with Greg. I think that was an aggressive schedule that we came up with, and I think we gave ourselves a week or two, and there's just an awful lot to get done. But WCTV is more than willing to help us with the PSA, have the training, and then they also said that they were willing to let us use Tom when we go out and do these filmings of these vacant buildings or whatever we're going to end up doing, and then that would make the turnaround time much quicker because he'll do the editing. Where if we do it on our own, they're going to teach us or me to edit, and then we have to provide a script, and we can do it, I'm sure. Like Greg said, I mean, being a cameraman, any one of us could do it in, with 3 to 5 minutes of training. So I think we have a good start, to be quite honest. I really do.
It's awesome. Yeah, we'll get there. We're going to get a script done, and we'll have another meeting, and we'll get something. We'll probably have an hour's worth of content that we'll have to cut down to 15 minutes, and that'll probably be the hardest part of this thing.
Right.
So just that was an update to the rest of you folks. That sorry that we didn't. I was hoping that by now we'd have maybe a first draft or something that we could boast about and show you, but we will endeavor to have something more meaningful and meaty by our next gathering. Bullet 5, I'm sorry, are there questions on that by anybody? Very well. Bullet 5 is, let's get an update from Rob. We had talked about several times back at the beginning of the year before COVID, and then more recently about Rob inviting his friend, colleague, whatever, who owns a restaurant slash brewery, craft brewery, to come and just visit with us and sort of allow us to pick his brain as to what it would take and why would a business choose any municipality to open their business. Rob's had some conversation with him. I wanted to get Rob to update us on that. Yes.
So he's right now, he has 5 businesses in the Worcester area. And obviously with CV-19, he's consolidating his businesses. He's going down to 3. He is willing to look at Wilmington for a high-end brewery, pub, and restaurant. Within the next 6 months, he'll get out here. And especially when the vaccine is available, if and when, he said that would reduce the time significantly, because that's where he's having a problem in his restaurants, getting people in there. The occupancy is really doing a job on him. So he's breaking even right now, he said. He's still willing to help us and, get on the phone at some point if we would like, but he's definitely interested in coming out here, meeting with members of the committee. And then obviously he asked about some incentives, and then Mike, you'd given me an action to start looking at incentives. And I've reached out to the people that you've indicated, Brittany and the Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development in Boston. And I have a call into them waiting for a response. But it seems that there are some grants that we can apply for to maybe get some funding and get our name out there with marketing and advertising. So that's what I'm working on for the committee now. Yeah, just to let everybody know, I had emailed Rob last week or so, thinking, are towns providing incentives to businesses to pick them? And if so, what are they doing? Is it tax abatements or any number of different tools that towns may choose to use to incentivize a certain kind of business to settle in their community versus the neighboring community. I'm not saying we should do it, but we should certainly, in my view, we should certainly be aware of what those tools are and determine whether or not it's something we want to collectively as a committee at some point recommend to the Board of Selectmen and the town management to consider. So I don't have a grasp on what those kind of incentives are. I haven't done the research, and Rob was willing to spearhead a little bit of a fact-finding mission. So I appreciate, Rob, you going out there and doing that. And as you gather information, just put it on the bucket, and then we'll talk about it when there's I guess some content to talk about. Sure, definitely by the next meeting I'll have stuff. Awesome. Anything else on that? So thank you, Rob, for that. I love the idea of that kind of a business. So I hope, what's his name again? Forgive me. Tommy. I hope Tommy sees something he likes when he visits us. We'll have to roll out the red carpet for him, because personally and selfishly speaking, I love that kind of business in our community. I think it'll be good. I think it'll work out.
I hope so. Bullet number 6 is under the context or whatever, in the context of returning to our original mission, the pre-COVID 19 mission, and talking about the survey results, making that survey known and available to our residents. And that was an action item by me at our last meeting. I started to put together the bones of kind of not a report, but just a summary statement that I was going to put on the front of the simplified survey results. So not the pages and pages of comments, but rather the word clouds, as well as just the charts that show the answers. And so I haven't completed it yet. Same answer to before. Just time has not allowed me to finish that to my liking. So that will be something that I'll probably send out as an email to all of you over the course of the next week or so, when I can kind of get it to a completion state that I feel comfortable with. And then I guess we'll figure out, hopefully you can make your own edits or your own revisions to it, send it to, I'm not sure, it's always so hard to not violate open meeting law, but capture those edits or revisions that you might suggest, and then we'll maybe send them to, I don't know, I'll come up with the method for doing that, and it'll be in the email that I send out. In the work world, I would say just send me your emails, but I can't do that. So we'll come up with a way to communicate outside of the context of this meeting that doesn't violate the open meeting law, that'll allow me to send a final version of this for your review that we can then hopefully populate onto the web page when right after our next meeting. Similar to the marketing brochure, I will tell you that we talked about creating an outbound flyer or brochure or something that we could send out either tangibly or digitally to prospective businesses that we would like to invite to come and check us out as a community. I personally don't have the expertise to be able to develop that kind of marketing content, and we don't have a budget. So I feel like we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place here. I would like to, I'm hoping that maybe we'll find either some grant money, or that Representative Robertson and Senator Tarr may be able to allocate or earmark some funds that can be used by economic development that we can tap into. But until then, it's really a matter of doing something rudimentary and hoping that maybe it's sufficient to be a placeholder until we can do something more professional looking. So that's the dilemma that I find myself in with regards to a marketing flyer. I'm certainly open to any suggestions anyone might have.
Well, Mike, let me just ask this. In general, does the town website have anything for a prospective business owner to click into for even just basic information if you're looking to open a business in town? Do we have that sort of?
Yeah, I think we even have it, and forgive me, do I have it on our screen here? Bear with me here. Main Street Market Study, stats and factors. Guide for new business. Yeah, if you look at the, if you're on the Economic Development Committee page on the Town of Wilmington's website, over on the top left, there's the description and purpose of who we are. And then the next bullet down underneath that is Guide for New Businesses. This was a collaborative effort between the Chamber of Commerce and Valerie's office. There it is. Yeah, thank you, John. Go up a little bit. Oh, there you go. Sorry, no, you're right. So that's effectively it. That started out as a trifold brochure, as you can kind of tell by the layout.
Yep.
It is actually in print. I think if you go to Town Hall, there are some on display and available. But this, as I mentioned, was a collaborative effort by one of the Chamber of Commerce's staff members, no longer with the Chamber, but together working with Nancy and Valerie and a little bit of myself. So that's really, I mean, I don't know if that's what you're talking about, Paul, but that's kind of it. It's not a marketing brochure, but it's kind of a roadmap.
No, I think that's a good start, but I'm also thinking with that, if over time we could build that out a little bit. I don't have a background in that either, but I'm thinking, we could see, I don't know what is available to sort of borrow from around us to see what other folks do and see if there's anything we can add to it, because so obviously that's not going to really cost us anything. And then build that out a little bit, at least, you know, in terms of a cheap way to get some information out there, the minimum you can drive people to that site, you know.
Mike, is there a way that we can bring up Tewksbury's site on the screen?
I would ask John if he's willing to do so or able to do so.
Sure.
It's
Tewksbury's.
Tewksbury yeah, Tewksbury's Town Hall, and I'm clicking on their business tab.
Sure. Hang on one second.
Thank you, John.
What I like, how I like that information that's in that guide that we did is very clear. So they have the for business, and then here is where a lot of the information that's buried in that brochure is, you know, is found here. It's very easy to see. They're all clickable links. And then if you go to under, where is it? Under business links, the third one down, why choose Tewksbury for your relocation? There's some information there, but there's also, oh, the business and community guide on the left. And then here is kind of doing business in Tewksbury. And this is what I would foresee as kind of our brochure. And a lot of it's, you know, a lot of this information we have.
And this is 20 pages, so I'm not going to go through it all.
No, but, you know, you can kind of see what type things are there. Photos, why Tewksbury, so on and so forth. So
I think we have all of the content, right? We have the survey results. We have the market study, Main Street market study, Route 38 market study, the you know, stuff that we intuitively know, you know, the 4 exits off 93. We could go down the list of our assets and grab some really good imagery and put together. I think someone with some expertise, and I hate to use the expertise, someone with some design talent could assemble, I think, a pretty attractive 2 or 3 page. I don't think we would need a 23 page brochure or catalog. Who knows? Maybe it's a couple of versions of something, but yeah, I think we need to get there. And I guess I feel broken because I don't know how to. And I wonder how Tewksbury did it. Maybe it's worth a call to Mark.
Well, I know who did it, and she actually, it's just in a PDF, and I actually have the PDF. So it's just kind of editing it to customize it to Wilmington.
You think a suggestion was made perhaps that if we were gathered some pertinent data and content, and I forget the teacher's name, my daughter used to work with, but at the high school, is there someone at the high school who?
That's what I was going to say.
Like you're thinking of Miss Fiddler. She's helped us out a couple times with a few other things I'm involved with in town. She's able to get the kids to come together, and some of them get extra credit if they help out with graphic design projects. But you know, I'm sure it's worth an ask to her if she's willing to put it out as an assignment to the kids. You know, as long as we supply the content, they can lay everything out for us.
Yeah,
I love that idea.
Yeah, definitely.
Would someone be willing to spearhead that, or is it premature? Do we want to get the survey data online and posted so that we can then start to tap into that for the brochure? I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think it'd be best if we could compile the information that we're looking for, and then once we kind of lay it all out, then present it to her. You know, if that's the direction we want to go, just so there's no gray area. You know, here's what we need, and we need you to kind of lay it out artistically, if you will.
I agree. I think we should give her all the information we have when we have it. That way they just lay it out and give us a finished product.
I agree. I think it's important to get the survey results up ASAP.
I agree, Suzanne, and I offer my apologies for not getting it done.
Well, if you need some help, you know, just ask for some help.
I need some help.
Well, just send it on over to me what you have, and see if I can help.
All right, deal.
Okay.
Bill, you write that down.
I already did.
All right, that's fair. So we'll hope that we can use some of the content that we're doing for the survey reporting, and borrowing some of the inspiration from Tewksbury and others that we look at to gather together. And then perhaps, Patrick, we can put our brains together and come up with a collection of information to send over to Ms. Fiddler. So we'll endeavor to make progress on that effort over the course of the next month. Deal?
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds
Yeah,
like a
good.
plan, Mike.
C is email notifications to existing businesses. So you may recall, all of you, that last meeting we did discuss taking advantage of the database spreadsheet, for lack of a better word, that Nancy has of local businesses, continuing to enhance it, but using it as a means of outbound communications when there are activities or events or campaigns or information that is newly available through economic development that would be worthwhile to share with our business community. We didn't want to, I think the concern last month was we didn't want to get into a spamming kind of mode. We want to make this an opt-in and an opt-out kind of mode. So I had asked, after we met, I had asked if Pat and Nancy could put their heads together and discuss a plan for doing that. And a draft of a message was put together. I didn't send a copy of the draft to you folks in the invitation for this meeting, did I?
No.
So sorry about that. John, I think I sent it to you to bring up on screen,
You did.
if you don't mind. Unless, I'm sorry, Nancy, is it appropriate? He has the email, the suggested email text that you and Pat, I think we're going to send out. Is now the right time to display it?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then I'll
absolutely.
leave it to you and Pat to talk about it.
So, Pat, I know you can't see it. So it basically just, it was kind of short and sweet. Dear Wilmington business owner, on behalf of the Wilmington Economic Development Committee, we hope this email finds you and your business well and work for us healthy during this unprecedented time. We write to briefly introduce our committee and invite you to subscribe to our business e-alerts. And then it talks about, and then we have our mission there. And then it closes with the Wilmington Economic Development Committee business e-alerts will help keep you informed of pertinent news and information that may be of interest to you and your business as you continue to work and hopefully grow in our community. We encourage you and any member of your organization to subscribe to our business e-alerts by clicking the links below. And then we had thought of having the click here to subscribe to the alerts itself, and then click here. And we wanted to see if there was a way that we could do the click here to update your business information. And that would bring you to a page where there would be boxes that you have this information in, that you put this information in, your business name, address, contact email, that stuff. And that's information that we can use on that email list that we're keeping, and can keep that updated. So I don't know if that's something that can be done. And then click here for more information about the committee, and that would be to our website.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Patrick, for working on that. Before we get into the verbiage and stuff, John, is some of what Nancy described, is that feasible to, like a form, if they click on it, to update their contact information? Is it something we can develop without too much pain and anguish, or do we need to think of a different way to do this?
I believe this is something we can indeed develop through the website with a form.
Outstanding. Thank you. So we'll, Nancy and Pat will continue marching on this. So the question I guess I have is, when we have it, assuming that that letter is acceptable to everybody, and it certainly is to me, by the way, when it's time to go out, is it, I guess, how do we use it? How do we, as they opt in, so we're going to send one unsolicited email at the beginning, right? Is that the idea?
That would be the email that goes out to the 700 and whatever emails that we have on this.
And those that opt in will get any subsequent message that, if something comes up over the course of or after a meeting, we say we should let our businesses know that X is happening. Those that have said, yes, please include me, only they will get that message. Correct?
Correct. So I guess before, we send out to the 700 and whatever people, I mean, we need to understand, how often we're going to be communicating, what we're going to be communicating, who's going to be communicating, and how.
I don't think I know any of the answers to those questions. Sincerely.
I certainly wouldn't want to send that email out if they're going to subscribe and then never get anything. And, obviously there's 250 people that are on that list of 700 are already chamber members that are getting chamber information. So I want to make sure that that's clear too.
Well, I think the first message is good to let our businesses know that we exist. So I think it's worthwhile from that perspective alone. Even if we don't have a planned sequence of communications going forward, I don't think we need to be I don't want to get into the situation where we have a bi-monthly economic development newsletter. We don't have the bandwidth to do that unless someone wants to take that on.
And Mike, looking at the state of the world right now, it's tough to create a strategy for the next, couple months out, not knowing where we'll be in a couple months in terms of the pandemic. I think that's impacting businesses in all sorts of different realms. So maybe we just kind of take it on a quarterly approach. The end of the year can or, in a couple months can be our first email, and then we could start to get on a quarterly basis. And then on these, on these monthly calls, we can come up with content for the next quarter's newsletter. We can kind of just put it as a recurring meeting agenda item to keep talking about it.
I think that's a very appropriate approach. I also think, if we update the website with the survey data, that's kind of a big movement that happens, and maybe it's something worthwhile to let the businesses know that this update has just happened. If we get a marketing brochure in the coming months, maybe it's something that we want to share with our businesses. So yeah, I think any appreciable achievement, that I think it warrants perhaps an outbound communication to those that have opted in. We certainly don't want to do it just for the sake of doing it. But I think it's worthwhile for them to be aware that we're here and that it's a resource and that there are resources available.
So would you be sending information, COVID related information?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would defer to you guys as a committee to decide what goes out. I mean, perhaps
maybe a case by case basis. I mean, once we get the surveys, once we get the survey data up from the residents, maybe the committee might want to think about surveying the businesses, asking them, what they may feel is an impediment or what's positive, what's negative about doing business in Wilmington. Eventually, I mean, I know that's a little bit down the road. We've got a lot to do already, but eventually maybe. But I think a case by case basis. I mean, I think if something comes up, it's not that much of a heavy lift to communicate. For instance, once the survey gets up online, maybe we might want to send a letter to the businesses and, hey, this is what the Wilmington residents think of what they're looking for, for a development in town. I think that would be a good point to communicate.
So getting back to the logistics of it, how does it work in terms of sending the content out, and who does that? How do we do it?
Yeah, from what email address?
Right. Who actually writes it? Who sends it? Or who has access to? I guess I don't understand how it works. The dealers from the.
Yeah, that's a good point. Usually, a lot of towns have somebody who's hired to do that. Like economic development person that would that would do it, and we don't have that. And then we do have Valerie, but Valerie's already really busy.
Well, I was gonna say that, John, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we could send it from the committee's email address.
Oh, joy.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Then the responses would come back to that address too. So.
Yeah, I mean, so we could set it up so there's no ability to respond to it. We could set it up to display another address that doesn't exist, or if you want that two-way communication, we would most likely use the chairman's address.
I think you could include the chairman's address in the body of the message. If you have, if you want to share information with blah, 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 or if you want to communicate with us, use this following email address. But I like your idea of not having it be a reply.
Okay.
And then but if they opt in, what's the opt-in mechanism? So that's literally they're going to click on a link that's going to add them or put a Y in a column next to their name in the database.
So I guess that's a good question. To one degree, we still have the e-alert sign up. We could go by that method, but if you're talking about the mailings exclusively, we would need to set up that form that we were discussing earlier.
So on the website, it's on the town website right now, there is the option to sign up for e-alerts from the Economic Development Committee, correct?
Correct.
Correct. So if these 700 people, they all opt in, that gets added to that list that's already created.
If that's the way you guys would like it, it depends.
I'm not smart enough technically to advise or suggest anything. I guess what my thinking is from a execution standpoint, I want it to be as easy for the end users, the people receiving this message. It should be as easy for them to respond, yes or no, as possible. And at the same time, I don't want to overly burden anyone at town hall or me. If it can be automated, great. If it's something that has to be done manually, that's a little less great, but I don't know how to do it.
So, I think the issue for me here would be, the e-alerts to sign up, you just provide a name and an email address. When it comes down to the letter that was drafted, we're talking about updating business name, address, contact information, questions about years in Wilmington, location, employees. That's something that can't be done through the e-alert sign up. That would have to be something separate.
So, but that's kind of in the email that we're sending out there, that one link. The first link is sign up for the e-alert. So that kind of is the same link that kind of is on the website where people can sign up, right?
Correct.
And then that second link, if we were going to do it, and we don't have to do that. I mean, this could be a separate email, I guess.
Yeah, so that's basically what I'm asking. I mean, for the information you look for, it would have to be two separate. That you have the link to the e-alerts, which for right now only notifies these individuals who subscribed when we post a news item on the economic development page. If we create the link to update your business information, we could use that separately for just the email mailings that get sent out. If you have marketing mailings that you'd like to send out, I think we would have to keep these separate though.
Okay, so that's different than what I was thinking then. So those e-alerts from the town, it's when you make a change to the economic development page itself.
Right now, it's only specifically if we post a news item to the Economic Development Committee page. It won't update anyone if there is just an edit on the page.
Okay, so then why can't we just keep putting news on the page? And those are our emails those are our alerts that is getting sent out to anyone that subscribes.
Mhm.
That's certainly something you can do. The only thing is, if you're looking for that additional business information, you're not going to get that through the e-alert subscriptions.
Right, right. So that could be something different. That could be, okay.
Nancy, do you feel like you have a grasp on this?
Sure, but so who do I talk to though? So what's the next, in terms of setting this up and going forth? Who is my I'm sorry, who do I call directly?
Well, the content of the letter was great in my view. And if anyone in the committee wants to offer a suggestion or an edit, I think that there would be an opportunity here to do so. But if we agree that the content is correct and a good start, a good first communication, then technically how it goes out, I don't know. I mean, between you, Patrick, and John, I think we just need to determine what's the easiest and most sensible way to do it. I don't have a strong feeling toward any particular technology. I think it's worthwhile for us to have a means of being able to, when needed, do outbound communications to our business community. So, short of having to put stuff on social media or send something to the press and hope that they read it, I think that having a direct line of communication with our business community that is willing to be communicated with makes sense. And I don't yet have a perfect example of what kind of communications or what specific communications we will want to share with them, but I think we need to open that dialogue so that it's available to us when the times do come that we need to have, we either need or want to share something. So how that technology is, or what means of technology we use, whatever, let the experts figure it out.
Nancy, would it make sense, or would it be helpful, I guess, to have, when we ask for the business information, could they just email us at the WEDC email with that information? I'm assuming that 700 people aren't going to do that. Right. But some may, so it may be a tolerable or a reasonable amount to kind of take in and log. I don't know, maybe not, maybe that'd be too overwhelming. But if we have the button for them to sign up for the e-alerts and then have them be able to email that information to us, the extra information to us, is that a way to do it, or would that be too overwhelming?
Right now I get the emails to the committee's email address. It won't be overwhelming. We'll batch them. So if we have 50 that come in a week, then over the weekend, I'll just batch up the 50 and whatever, either put it in a spreadsheet or something. And, I'll share it with Nancy et al. And we'll just update the database. So I don't foresee it. I think we're making much ado about nothing. I think we can use that email address. We can even send from that email address now in second thought, John. So if people are communicating back, that's good. More communication is better. If it takes a couple days to get back to them, I don't think it's the end of the world. We're not.
It's too confusing to do it in the first go around. Maybe it's, again, that's another communication that we send out an e-alert saying that, and it's more about if your location has changed, if you're, it's more about business change.
It might be good to have that second alert set up and ready to go so that we're using it. We ask them to sign up and then we use it, like you say, and have that be the second, the follow-up.
Yeah, we can really do that. And, and that's even an opportunity to even ask a question, are you, were you ever considering moving to a different location in town, or, something to that effect,
So what is the, I missed it, so I apologize, but what is the actual purpose of the email or asking people to give you information? You're asking for information on their actual business?
It was more if things had changed. So, a company that's been in town in Wilmington for, 20 years, their street address hasn't changed. It was more to get information that might be different than what we already have on our list. The businesses that we've compiled from the town hall, the, Zoom, the different databases that we used. There might be a new owner, things like that people might want to share. But again, I think we could use that in a second or third email.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the overall goals of, what I always wanted in the beginning is to really have one place that we had a master list of all the businesses in Wilmington. And so when we're communicating about whether it be, COVID related stuff or, something else in town, business related, you have one list that you can go to and blanket the entire business community.
To the extent that they're willing to be communicate. It's good to have a list of info, but in terms of outbound communications, again, I think we need to continue to be careful not to communicate with folks that don't want to have their email bombarded.
Right.
In fact, I think there's rules about that stuff, so we can't break rules. Okay, so I'm sorry, where are we? What's the action coming out of this conversation? Are we
okay that John, Pat, and I have an offline discussion about the next step and how we set this up?
That being said, I don't care if you use the primary email address. I have a login for it, so I'll just be mindful of it. I'm getting notified if I get if a message comes into that inbox, I get a notification text that there's a message there. So as that inbox starts to populate, I'll be notified, and then like I said, I'll go in and check it periodically and maintain the updates. So whatever you guys want to do. Is everybody else comfortable with this? Are we okay proceeding in the manner we just described? So if there's any concerns.
I'm okay.
I'm okay. I'm good.
Okay, so we'll presume that you guys will continue marching on that, and I thank you very much. I know it's frustrating and a little complicated, so we appreciate it. I'm moving on to 6D, and this is ideas for zoning / bylaw revisions. I had, similarly to some of the emails I sent to some of the other members, I had emailed Suzanne and Valerie, I don't know, a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago, I don't remember when, suggesting that they possessed a unique appreciation for this subject matter. And if we, as a board, as a committee, were ever going to make recommendations to the Board of Selectmen for any kind of changes to be put on a town meeting warrant, it would be they that might be able to help us identify some layups, is the word I used. Are there some easy ones? Are there some simple housekeeping kind of measures that we as a committee can make a recommendation for? So I lobbed that into their laps, and I don't know if they've had an opportunity to dig into it yet. So I'll leave it to Suzanne and or Valerie to pick up the ball.
We didn't get a chance to talk, and we will, but I guess I wanted to bring up something that I heard earlier tonight as an example or as a potential. There was discussion about a brewery and how we would want to see something like that in town. A brewery is sort of a strange use when it comes to uses, because it's actually categorized as an industrial use because you're really manufacturing something. So right now, I think our zoning bylaw would call it where it would fit in. It doesn't have its own, you don't see the word brewery in our zoning bylaw at all. In which case you could say that it's not even allowed. But I think it probably fits into a general manufacturing type of category, which general manufacturing is something that's only allowed in general industrial and highway industrial, along our highways, off the Ballardvale, Johnspin Road, off of Andover, Fordham Road, Industrial Way. So industrial places. and where a large type of brewery or some breweries may want to be in those locations because of easy access to the highway, trucks in and out. There are other types of breweries that are smaller, and it's more of a sort of a brewery that has a tap room and a restaurant. So it's more of an active kind of use that you wouldn't necessarily put in an industrial area. You would want easier access, more visibility to it. So we can't currently have one of those things on Main Street or on Lowell Street. So I guess I would say that's one thing that I'd like to kind of explore, whether we pull out, create a category for a brewery, define it as what it should be, what it is, and then figure out where we want to see it, and work on zoning for that. So that's, we can't right now, it's not just a something that can come in and go anywhere.
It's a great observation.
Yep, I agree.
Just case in point, and if someone wants to do some research or make a phone call, Andover has a place called the Oak and Iron. And so when we talk about breweries, you think Anheuser-Busch, right? Huge breweries. But then there's nano breweries or craft brewers, and brew pubs. In this case, the Oak and Iron, they have, I think they probably were required to have small snacks, pretzels, and a couple other things that they can make right there on site. But they also have food trucks that come in, and so you order. And now you have to, because of COVID, they're required to, before they even serve you a refreshment, you have to show them you just placed an order for food. Sorry, I know a lot about this place. Additionally, there is Valerie in Salem. There's a place called Notch Brewery, and it's similar in what I just described. Very, very small. These companies do create beer that they sell to the restaurants regionally. So they're selling, kegs, and the restaurants are dispensing their product. I don't think any of them, I could be wrong about that. I was going to say, I don't think any of them are canning. So you can't go into the liquor store and buy a can of some of these products. But they're for on-site consumption or consumption at a restaurant where they're selling it too. But they're not macro breweries. So there's a manufacturing component to it, but it's really a restaurant, I think, more in my head. So those cities, those towns that I just mentioned, Andover and Salem, I know of, but they're all over the place. In Peabody, I know there's at least a couple. So these things exist. And so there's a model for how other towns have categorized that business. So we might want to look at that rather than trying to reinvent the wheel.
Yep. Ipswich Ale is one that I think,
Right.
I don't know if anybody's ever been there, but it's basically downtown Ipswich, right outside of downtown Ipswich. And you actually can buy some of their, they do can and bottle their beer also.
Inside, right.
And they have a food truck. You can actually, because we've used it at the association. So I think that's definitely something to look at. It's a great idea. You may want to look at both, like large brewery and micro brewery or craft brewery, however you want to maybe make make a bylaw that will accommodate both, not one or the other.
Yeah, where would we heard about entertainment, people wanting entertainment, adult, I don't like to say adult entertainment, but billiards. Yeah, what would that fall under? If it were a restaurant or a bar / entertainment type, what would that fall under?
Bowling alley, like a K1 or whatever, things like that.
So I have to say, I am not the zoning enforcement officer. So what I say is not the official word on it. But we do have an amusement facility use category, which you don't think of those things as an amusement facility, but within that category, falls indoor facilities, including theater, cinema, bowling alley, skating rink, and arcade. So some of those things could fall under amusement. Our zoning bylaw has these groups of uses that aren't entirely up to date. So sometimes it's a challenge to figure things out. So I would want to talk to the building inspector about that, but I think some of those things might fit under amusement.
Axe throwing. Like that's a thing, right? I haven't been to it, but I understand it's kind of getting popular in Boston and around.
I like that. What about hotels? Do we have something in there about hotels?
We do have hotel or motel as a use category. We do. Those are special permits mostly in our commercial and industrial districts.
And that's another thing I think worthy of looking at is the special permit process for businesses. And, maybe if the town wants to promote smaller businesses, we may want to streamline that process for, say restaurants that are under 50 people. That will have less of an impact on the residential area as opposed to like a restaurant with 100 people. I mean, I think there's definitely things that we could do to streamline some processes, and I think that's one of them.
So it's it's September 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm mindful of the schedule for, it's amazing I'm even thinking along these lines, but Greg.
Town meeting.
Yeah, exactly, Suzanne, right?
Yeah, right around the corner.
Say it again.
It's right around the corner.
Yeah, that's the thing. Getting an article that the Board of Selectmen can consider and getting it put on the warrant. We need to kind of get on the stick here. So I don't know. I guess that's why I'd like to charge you, Suzanne and Valerie, to maybe we get a couple of quick layups for this next town meeting. We're not going to be able to take a huge bite out of the apple, but let's take one or two.
Well, these topics have been kind of coming at me from different angles, not just here. I've heard things in the past from the planning board. I've heard from, just residents individually. So restaurants were something that are on my to-do list for this year. And breweries sort of fit in with that. So I'm willing to spend some time on those things. This is the time of year where I start talking to the planning board about potential articles. So I can talk to them, I can talk to you guys, we can all talk and kind of figure out what can happen, sort of playing different roles, I guess, with different committees and boards. But it's something that's on my list. So I'm willing to work on some of those things and see where we go.
Awesome. Thank you. So we'll come to you, Valerie, at our next meeting for an update, perhaps, of what you've come up with. And God willing, we'll have some meaningful discussions for the Board of Selectmen to consider and put on the warrant. And I think that would be a nice win for the town as well as our committee. Anything else on this bullet? We're talking about zoning and bylaw revisions at this phase of the game. It's not one and done. I think this is an ongoing conversation. So if we are done with this conversation for tonight, we're not done with the conversation.
I just wanted to let people know I was told that that 355 Middlesex Ave is up for sale. I don't know if you heard about that or not, Valerie. 355, I think it's 355 Middlesex. It's at the it's the event, the place next to the registry.
Oh, the Art of the Event?
That building. So, there's, there may be a potential there. That's zone general industrial, I believe. So there may be an opportunity there to think about some type of, like neighborhood activity center type of rezoning, to encourage things like restaurants or a small brewery or, whatever the case may be. So I just want to put it out there. I mean, it's up for sale now, so it's actually a good opportunity to consider something like that.
Is it 355? 355 is where channel and the RMV.
It's right next to it. I thought, well,
Okay.
355, maybe, what was it, 353 or 351? I believe it's the building the out of the event.
Okay.
The old Bayonet World.
That's what I was told, that it was up for sale.
Interesting.
I haven't actually done my own research on it, but it was a decent source. So
I just have a quick question that I forgot. What's going on with the Michael's Place area? That's been closed for some time.
Michael's Place area.
The restaurant, you mean the restaurant itself?
Michael's Place, the restaurant, that's been closed for some time. I know they did a few renovations out there, but then it's been closed for months.
Yeah, I noticed that too. He didn't reopen during COVID.
No, he hasn't. He was actually, I think, closed prior to it. Because I know they started doing renovations. They were closed for renovations. And I don't know if they ever even opened up after that.
They did. Yeah.
Oh, they did.
I'm not sure.
They did reopen as more of a sports bar / grill, and it seemed to do well, but it ran right. Once COVID started, that kind of crushed it because their business was the sports.
Or the bar, yeah.
Yeah, and I think he tried a couple of things, but it seems like they're not open right now. I don't know if they're trying to ride it out or.
Yeah, no, I go to Dr. King next door, so I mean I drive by often anyway, but I noticed they're still, not open, so I was wondering. And the second question is that, do they own that land, or does Mr. McCoy still own that land? Does he lease it? I'm just curious.
I'm fairly certain it's B.
From Mr. McCoy. I think so. Yep.
Okay. But no movement or anything there.
No, it looks like there hasn't been anything official through town hall. So
yeah, I was just, it's a good spot. I mean, it's a busy road and stuff, so I didn't know what the deal was there. It's all.
I hope the business is okay. I'd certainly.
I do too. Oh, for sure. I think what they were trying to do, I thought was great. To make it more of a sports bar and all that stuff. So yeah, I would love to see them reopen. That's what I was actually angling for. So
well, we'll see. Let's keep our ears open, and if anyone hears anything, share it with the team.
Yeah, for sure. Just putting it on the radar.
Mike, if I can jump in real quick, I just checked something. 353 Middlesex, back to Suzanne's comment. It is for sale. That's where Art of the Event is. And they're also selling the parcel next door. For those that are familiar with the area, there's kind of a dirt area. That's for sale as well. The whole complex, it looks like it's for sale for $4.9 million, but it does say 100% leased. So I have a feeling that Art of the Event is staying. I think it's just the building owner is selling the site.
Interesting.
But there is a development opportunity. So I think that'd be a great location for something in the future.
Yeah, it's definitely something to look at.
Yeah, I mean, it could use some upgrades for sure.
Yeah, coat of paint.
That's down the street from me, so I would love to see a little bit more of an upgrade, selfishly, but
Let's watch for it.
For sure, yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Valerie and Suzanne, for starting that process and continuing it and bringing to the committee any thoughts or suggestions you might have for our next meeting. Number 7 is goals, and I had kind of lobbed out a message. I think I did, with the suggestion that folks identify any specific goals they may have for us as a committee going into the next period, the next 12 months, 11 to 12 months. So I'll open it up for discussion. I know Paul had shared some thoughts with me by email. Paul, I'll, rather than me read your email, I don't know if you want to share kind of where your goals are, or what you'd kind of like to see us achieve as a committee. Some of these goals might be lofty and unachievable, but who cares? Let's lob it out there, and then collectively we can decide which of
Yeah,
them.
and especially as kind of as a new member, I'm not familiar with all what's doable and what's not. But one thing I think would be good to get a handle on is where does Wilmington stand on the tax rate for businesses versus the communities around us? What, are we way out of line with? I don't really know, but I'd like to know, are we way out of line with the towns around us? Is that something that businesses look at and it's a deterrent? It'd be good to understand where we stand there. May not be able to do anything about it because I don't think the residents want to have their taxes go up. There's a problem there I think where you can't have it both ways. We might have to come to the decision that we're going to leave it this way, but I think at least we should be able to tell residents who ask, this is the story, some businesses find it a detriment and this is why. But point being, it'd be good to know where we stand in relation to the communities around us.
How would you like, Paul, what do you suggest? Would you like either a report or some type of document from the town manager's office? Or I think that data is readily available. It's just a matter of finding it. What would you like to see? How would you like to see that materialize?
Yeah, I don't think if the town has the data, then really it's just a spreadsheet or a brief summary, so we get a handle on where we stand. Is it a big deal or not a big deal? In terms of just strictly dollars and cents, are we way outside, or are we right in the mix? Maybe we're a little high, but we're not high enough to cause someone to walk. Because it's not, as you said, we had 700 businesses here, so it's not like you guys would know better that people are coming, that businesses are coming and necessarily complaining about it. But I think it would be good to know.
Greg, can I impose on you? Is that I feel like that's information that periodically comes across your desk, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm scratching my head, and maybe I'm thinking about it more as on the residential side. Is that information that's made available to you folks, each year?
Yeah. So early in the spring, winter, if you want to call it, we usually get that breakdown based on residential tax, and I don't see why we can't. Between now and the next meeting, I can try to come up with the business ratio, how we differ from other communities.
I suspect Karen has it, just from a rate standpoint. And again, it's not to cast any kind of judgment, but I think to members of this committee would benefit from at least knowing what we have. So Greg, if you don't mind spearheading that, and then maybe have a conversation with Karen, the principal assessor, I think she will be able to provide that, and we can provide it to you, Paul. And with that, if you want to continue that dialogue, we can certainly do so.
There's been articles too. I've read articles over the years, time and again, but I don't know whether it's the Globe. It might be the Globe and the Patch, and there's been a lot of articles over the years that compare business tax rates and residential tax rates to by community. And Wilmington is high, I know that, but higher than a lot of the other ones around. But I think just even a search online might produce what you're looking for. Because that works. That people do it and write articles on it. I think like virtually every year.
Are you looking for the list I'm sorry, I was zoned out. The list of taxes by town, residential versus commercial?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have that. Mr. John Lucci put that together. Of all the
Makes sense.
I think that we definitely have that. Actually, I think it was just passed around again by John to Mr. to Jeff Hall. So yeah, we definitely have that. It's for all Massachusetts towns.
Well, I don't want to bogart John's hard work, but can we extract some of the content, just the data from that, and get it to me, and I'll share it with the committee, just from informational purposes.
Oh
Yeah, I mean, we could look at it next time just to see what's what.
He would be happy to if we shared it. It is in an Excel.
Yeah, Nancy, if you don't mind, share it. Send that to me when you get a moment, and then team, I'll send it out. I'll say this for whatever it's worth. Maybe I should just shut up. And I will. I'm going to shut up. So Paul, continue. You had a couple bullets here.
I think it's getting late, so I don't want to go over. But another one, I was just wondering. I don't know if if it's something that's doable, but you know, there's the Rite Aid building, there's the Walgreens, there's some buildings that have been spots been empty for a while. Is it even feasible to contact the landowners and understand what their goals are for these properties? It doesn't seem like, until recently, like for example, Walgreens and the other place hasn't even had a for sale or for lease sign on it. So I didn't know if that was something that was even within our purview to find out. But it would just be good to know that, hey, you know, we plan on holding on to this property for the next 5 years, and that's it.
It's feasible, Paul, and it's probably even a tremendously good idea. I would say that early on in our existence as a committee, we did reach out to, I'm not going to waste time looking for the name, but we contacted a representative from the real estate firm that is, or the leasing agent for the.
Called SRS, Mike.
Thanks, Pat. I was going to come over to you in a second anyway to help us understand again why it's so hard to fill those vacancies. But we did have a conversation. Valerie and I got on a conference call with that representative, and he said that they were receptive to larger firms coming in and potentially leasing space from them. They weren't thinking too much. When I say larger firms, they were looking at Valerie, help me out.
Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
No.
Thanks, Suzanne.
Mostly healthcare. I think he was, at least the rep from the Rite Aid was looking for healthcare uses, folks who could pay a higher lease because they have existing leases on those buildings. Right. So Rite Aid is still paying the lease for the Rite Aid and the Walgreens. So the property owners are still getting that money. And I believe those leases are well into the future. They're still valid for a little while. So the property owner's getting their money because the lease is being paid, even though they're not actually occupying the building.
And Patrick, therein lies the real challenge, right? I mean, from your expertise and understanding.
Yeah, I mean, I work for a real estate developer full-time in the city, and there's no better feeling on a landlord side than having a tenant that's paying every month. I mean, as awful as it is, sometimes the landlord doesn't care whether the tenant's in business or not, as long as they're getting their monthly check. That's all they care about. So in these instances, I think you have two retail establishments that weren't meeting the numbers that they needed to. So it's more feasible for them to shut their doors down and still pay the monthly rent than it is to pay the monthly rent, pay the staff to run the store, pay for the merchandise, and so on and so forth. So I think in these scenarios, it was a better financial opportunity for the Walgreens and the Rite Aids of the world to exit the physical establishment and still pay the monthly rent.
But that being said, there could be some incentive created that may make them budge from that, maybe.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, there's different ways to do it, but in the current state of the world, with things going the way they are, retail is closing its doors every single day. So if a landlord still has a tenant that's willing to pay every month, even if the tenant's not open for business, the landlord sees that as a tremendous win because they're not paying for it. The tenant's still paying for it.
Right. It's security. Yeah.
You can't really fault them for that. It doesn't serve the greater good of the residents of the town, but it's better than the building falling into disrepair. Paul, one of the other things you had on your list was to pursue marketing opportunities, maybe a digital flyer, inexpensive ways to communicate. I think we flushed that out earlier.
Yeah, that was more what we talked about earlier.
And we will continue to do that.
Yeah.
you know, communicating with some of these property owners is an ongoing thing, and I think we can do it. But I think, to Pat's point, I think it's going to be a hard sell for us, at least until the economy kind of refreshes itself in a post-COVID world, for us to make any inroads in that regard.
Sure.
This discussion of goals is probably a bigger one than we have time to do. So I don't know. I don't want to cheat anyone of an opportunity to really flush out some 2021 goals for our committee. May I ask if it's okay with everyone? Please document goals. I didn't get any emails with people's goals. So maybe figure out what you perceive as your own personal goals going forward. I guess you can send them to me. I won't convey it out to the group. And I think that will be okay with the whole open meeting law thing. So get them into me, and then I'll create a master list of everybody's kind of goals, view for what their goals are. And we'll set that as the second bullet item, second agenda item for our next meeting, and focus some energy on that before we get sidetracked with some of the other discussion points. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Thank you. We're at 8, which is new business, and member statements, discussion of agenda items for the next or future meetings. So I will open it up to the group. Any member statements or suggestions for discussion topics? We just had one, goals. Very good. 9, public comments. John?
Mr. Chair, we currently do not have any callers.
While everyone rushes to the phone to call in using the mechanisms displayed on the screen, we will go to a discussion of number 10, which is our next meeting date. We have action items that people are pursuing, me included, so we don't want to go too long without catching up with each other again. How do folks look for, I don't know, October 20th, something like that?
Sure, for me.
Sounds good to me.
10:20. We're still Zooming.
Looks good.
And so we'll do 6 o'clock. I will tell you that WCTV will not be live broadcasting. I think we started talking about this before the meeting really officially kicked off. So at our next meeting, WCTV will not be live broadcasting. So we will publicize the phone number. Folks can listen in on the meeting live, and then at the public comment section, we'll unmute them, as it were. But the meeting will be recorded, and then it will be broadcast on WCTV after the fact. Did I capture that correctly, John?
To some degree. The public will also have the ability to actually join the Zoom meeting as you all are now by video. We're just gonna keep careful control of the screens.
Okay, thank you. I forgot about that aspect of it. Will someone send me an updated language for the opening of the agenda?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, that'd be awesome. I want to make sure we have that right. So awesome. Did anybody successfully get to their phone while we were deciding on a date?
Good.
Awesome.
No one did.
Okay, that means we're really, really good at our jobs. We've decided on the next date, and unless there's anything meaningful right here, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Made
Second.
and seconded by Nancy. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Lil?
Yes.
Mike is a yes. Paul?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Valerie?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
I think Tom left us. So thank you all very much for being here tonight. We'll communicate offline a little bit as we are able to, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the 20th.
Thank you.